Okay, so diving in today, we're looking at why anime just grabs people, why it makes such a huge impact, especially when you compare it to something like Bollywood cinema.
Right, and the source material you sent over is so fired up about it. Really interesting perspective.
Definitely. Like, what are they actually trying to say here? That's our mission today. What makes these arguments so strong for them?
Yeah, for sure. We're looking at Hype Senpai. It's this channel. Pretty casual. Almost like vlogging style, And you can tell Hype Senpai, I mean, they love anime. They're making a big case for how emotionally powerful the storytelling is, especially compared to Bollywood. They think it just hits harder. Narratively, too. Like, it's just better. And we're going to break down those exact points they're making.
Exactly. So for our listeners, people who are into learning new stuff quickly and seeing different points of view, this deep dive is a great way to understand why these stories work, like what makes them tick. Whether you're an anime fan into Bollywood or just curious about why some things just totally capture people's attention, we're going to try to get you some answers.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's jump in. Hype Senpai, right off the bat, they talk about the emotional depth of anime.
Yeah, they say that it respects your emotions. It builds them up slowly and carefully and in a way that feels real. Like you're really there.
Uh-huh.
And they use examples like stories about ninjas trying to achieve their dreams. Like Naruto's a good example. Or, where kids become heroes. And what's cool is that this slow burn might let viewers connect more with how the characters are feeling inside, which maybe you don't see as much in Bollywood, where things move really fast.
Yeah, it's about the journey, and you really get pulled in because you've seen it all develop from the beginning. And Hype Senpai's comparison with Bollywood is like, whoa, night and day. They often talk about Bollywood as having this formula. The hero, the heroine, you get a song, a fight, some drama, and that's it. Of course, they know that there are Bollywood movies that are different, but they're talking about the bigger picture, the trend.
For sure, yeah, they make that distinction.
Yeah.
But the big thing for them is that anime consistently delivers that emotional punch.
Yeah.
So the question is, does that careful buildup of emotion in anime create a deeper, longer-lasting connection for viewers compared to something that's quicker, maybe less subtle? I don't know. It's interesting.
It is, right. And moving on, Hype Senpai highlights character development. This is where anime often gets huge praise.
It's fascinating because they throw out all these names like Luffy, Goku, Levi, Gojo, Naruto, Eren, Tanjiro. And these aren't just random characters. Like, for a lot of people, these are characters they've really connected with, like form deep attachments to. Hype Senpai says that these characters feel like people we know, like they inspire us and even change how we see things. And that feeling stays with us even after the story's over. It's almost like they become part of, a shared language culturally.
Right, like they become part of everyone's experience. And again, the comparison with Bollywood is pretty harsh. The point is that Bollywood heroes are often more about looks, action, and dancing in these cool locations. And maybe, just maybe, they don't have that same depth or growth as characters.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings up a big question, like, how does the ongoing character development, which unfolds over so many episodes in anime, make that connection so strong for viewers? You see these characters struggling with themselves, changing their beliefs, facing the consequences of what they do, and in a way that maybe lets you relate to them more deeply over time.
It's about the long game. Okay, so we've talked about getting emotionally invested and the deep character development. What else does Hype Senpai bring up?
Well, it's anime's willingness to get dark, to explore dark themes.
Yeah.
This is super interesting because it's about a kind of realism, even when it's a fantasy world. Hype Senpai points out that anime isn't scared to go to some really dark places, where characters we love can die, the heroes might actually lose, and happy endings aren't a guarantee. Honestly, it's always struck me how some anime just go there. They kill off popular characters. It makes you realize the stakes are real, which you don't always get in other media.
Yeah, it's so different from a lot of mainstream entertainment where everything wraps up neatly.
Exactly, and they're saying that because anime embraces the darker side of life, it feels more powerful, more reflective of the real world, where things don't always work out fairly. Life throws you curveballs.
It does.
And with Bollywood, the comparison is that it usually plays it safe, tries to give the audience what it thinks they want, which is often a happy, more predictable ending. Of course, things like censorship and what audiences are used to can sometimes influence how dark themes are shown in mainstream movies. That's a whole other discussion.
True. It makes you think, though, does going to those darker places make anime hit harder for some people? because it reflects the uncertainties and struggles of real life in a way that feels, well, real?
Totally. The different kind of emotional connection. It's accepting the whole spectrum of what it means to be human, not just the perfect idealized version.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Let's look at where Hype Senpai says anime really shines. World building and imagination.
This is where anime can be mind-blowing. They create these massive, intricate fictional universes. Like, remember specific anime example with those maps and histories? It was incredible. It just pulls you right in. And the scale of it, the detail, it's crazy. Hype Senpai brings up One Piece, which, after 1,000 episodes, is still adding new layers to its world. It's amazing. They also mentioned Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, and Jujutsu Kaisen. All of them have these super detailed, immersive worlds that, to them, feel more real than reality.
It's like there's no limit to the creativity. Anything can happen in these worlds. And compared to Bollywood, it's, again, a big difference.
Yeah, they're saying that Bollywood often sticks to places we already know, like colleges, cities, wedding halls, which can feel a bit limiting. The argument is that anime pushes your imagination, invites you into these vast, original worlds, whereas Bollywood often relies more on familiar traditions and settings. It's about breaking out of those boundaries.
So for you listening, the question is, does this incredible world building we see in so many anime series help explain their huge popularity? Does it make people more engaged, more invested in the stories and characters over time?
I think it creates that sense of discovery, of wonder that can be really captivating. And finally, Hype Senpai dives into something super interesting, which is how much anime resonates with Indian youth specifically.
It's about that personal connection for Desi anime fans, right?
Exactly. They speak directly to this group, highlighting the themes that really hit home, like struggles, societal pressure, loneliness, friendship, and the drive to go after your dreams. They say that anime deals with these things in a way that feels very real and tells viewers they're not alone in facing these challenges. It's about finding yourself in those stories.
It's about seeing your own life reflected in the story, even if it's set in a fantasy world.
Right. And compared to Bollywood, they're saying it can sometimes feel too filmy, over the top. Like it doesn't capture the little things that make up the lives of Indian youth today in the same way that anime does. At least that's their perspective.
Makes sense. It raises a question, though. What are those cultural or societal factors that might explain this connection between Indian youth and the themes we see in anime? Is it something in the way the stories are told or the values underneath that makes them resonate? It's fascinating.
It is. There's so much to think about there. Okay, wrapping up. We've gone through Hype Senpai's arguments for why anime has such a huge impact. We talked about the emotional storytelling, how they build up the characters, how they aren't afraid to go to dark places, the incredible world building, and that feeling of connection, especially for young people in India. And of course, they contrasted all of this with their view of Bollywood.
And for you listening, this deep dive shows the power of stories and how different cultures connect with people in their own way. It makes you think about what makes characters and stories really grab us and why some media get such passionate fans. It's about understanding what clicks with people.
And that brings us to a final thought for you to consider. Based on everything Hype Senpai said, what could Bollywood do? What could they change to connect more with young people, not just in India, but everywhere? Or maybe are these two types of cinema just so different culturally that they can't really meet in the middle? Maybe that's not even a good thing. It's something to think about.
It is. It's about understanding how stories shape our world and how we connect with them. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely. Until next time.